Hello, welcome to the TMS Grading Policy Training for the 2014-15 school year. This document is a copy of the grading procedures, regulations, and explanations for 2014-15, and this is the way the cover looks. Please print or save this document. It's very important. You can find it on the OneDrive, but it's also attached to the email that is sent with this training. Note, this training does not take place of reading the entire grading policy and knowing it. It should be used only as a supplement to the actual document. I'm going to hit the highlights here of the grading regulations. Every teacher must maintain their own grade book personally. Students should not be able to enter or change grades, and grades must remain confidential. Although we would all probably like to at some point, grades cannot be adjusted for behavior. Grades cannot be negatively affected for not writing in pen or pencil to the point of failing. And also, assignments that are made in a particular 9-week period must be averaged the same period that they're due. Now, there's a loophole, so you can see page 5, because if you assign it in advance and that's known, then and only then can it be counted in another 9 weeks. Teachers must update their Skyward Gradebook weekly. There must be a minimum of 9 daily grades and 4 major grades each 9 weeks. Teachers do have the authority to delete grades for any assignment in which a substantial percentage, which is 20% or more of the class, failed to pass. At that point, you need to do a reteach and then assess them differently. Teachers may have more than the minimum number of grades in the gradebook that is actually suggested, and teachers may drop grades as long as they keep the minimum number of daily and major assignments. And assignments may count more than once, but not more than 3 times. For academic dishonesty, if a child is involved in academic dishonesty, they will be subject to grade penalties. In addition to, you can give them a UN citizenship, and there could be possible disciplinary consequences. For extra credit to be acceptable, it must contain one of the following: content-related choices, extra reading, or more challenging problems or projects. It cannot be awarded for assertive discipline rewards and school fundraising participation, and it also cannot be accepted at the end of the school day on the last day of the 9 weeks in order to improve a grade. Reteach and reassessment. Reteach is another presentation of the content provided to help kids gain a concept. See page 10 of your policy so that you can get ideas of what ways you can reteach information. A reassessment is when a student who earns below a 70 is given the opportunity to retake it, but you must reteach prior to giving a reassessment. Now, the teacher does determine what reteach a kid would get. Now, if a student walks into a class but refuses to even attempt the assessment, then they're not eligible for a reassessment. And no grade higher than a 70 will be recorded in the grade book for a reassessment. So even if they make a 95 the second time, their grade that goes in the grade book would be a 70. Late work. 2 daily late work grade papers per 9 weeks can be submitted within 3 school days, including the original due date. There will be a 10-point penalty deducted each day. Now, you reserve the right to accept grades later than that with the additional deductions. You have that flexibility within your grade book. Note, if you have a minimum of 11 daily assignments, you can drop 2 grades in lieu of, which means instead of, accepting late work. But we ask that you please communicate this to parents prior to using it. Whichever choice you decide to go with, the parents and the students need to know your policy on late work. Student absences. When a student is absent, they have 1 school day to make up each day that they're absent. If a student is present the day an assignment is made, the student is still responsible for the assignment and test on the due date, though absences have occurred in the interim. So if you assign something and kids are absent in the middle and then it's due, then when they return, they should be turning in that information. If a student is absent the class period and assignment is due or a test is given, the student is still responsible for the assignment the day that they return to school. If this does not happen, then you can implement the late work guidelines. If a student is absent at the end of the 9 weeks and they have not completed all of their grades, you can give them an I, which is an incomplete. But this will require you to do a grade change procedure, and we'll get to that in a moment. And it has to be done expeditiously. We don't want eyes in the grade book because that's going to cause problems at the semesters. When extenuating circumstances occur, please use good judgment, and if you're unsure, consult with an administrator. Grade calculations. Daily work will be 50% of your grade, and you should have a minimum of 9, and at least one daily grade should be entered into the grade book weekly. Major work is also 50% of the grade, but it's only 4 of those, and they should be entered into the grade book. And one of the 9-week assessments, if you're a core teacher, can count as one of the 4. Now, semester averages are 90% of the grades coming from your 9 weeks grades, but 10% comes from your semester exams. One thing I've run into is sometimes people will enter their semester exams in the gradebook column that's under just major grades, but be sure to make sure that you enter it under EX1 for exam 1 for first semester and EX2 for exam 2 for second semester. If you have questions, just please see either someone on your team or myself, and we will walk you through getting the grades in the appropriate slot so that you don't have to fill out a grade change form for each child. The yearly average is going to be semester 1 plus semester 2, and it needs to be a 70 or higher in order for them to pass your course. Progress reports and report cards. If you'll look to the right of the screen, there is a chart that lets you know when grades are due. It is expected that a successful parent contact be made and documented for all students who are in danger of failing. Remind parents to monitor their grade books via Skyward. This is a very good tool that will empower parents to check on their kids. And also, Ms. Brumley can assist any parent that is needing login information. 9-week failing grades should not be a surprise to the parent or the student. We have to make sure that we implement this with fidelity. Grade changes. Teachers must use the official form from me for any grade change. You must complete a separate form for each student needing a grade change. And absolutely no grade changes may be changed unless you made an error in computing or recording a grade, or unless there's an incomplete that needs to be removed. And if you'll look to the right, you'll see a copy of the grade change form. This must be done for each child and returned to Ms. McDonald, in addition to filling out the grade change in Skyward. And I will send screenshot directions on how to do that. But when you're filling out this form, please make sure that you fill out the form in its entirety. The top section with the identifying information, and then circle under period which period they're in. If you're in ELA or math, you'll circle 2 periods, which 9 weeks, and go from there. So make sure that you do this for each child if you need to change a grade. And then once you enter it on Skyward and you've turned in the paperwork, then I can go in and approve that. UIL eligibility. Do not accept work from students after 3:55 on UIL check days. Be sure to keep your grade books updated because failure to do so could cause a student to become ineligible. And teacher errors cannot be corrected on the UIL reports that are run, so a child could be ineligible for 3 weeks because of a teacher error. You will receive email reminders from Ms. McDonald prior to UIL checks letting you know that they're coming up. And I have included also the UIL eligibility chart to the right just so that you'll know what it looks like. It is on the OneDrive. Your next steps. Please print and read the 2014-15 grading policy in its entirety. Sign the acknowledgement and acceptance form and return it to Ms. McDonald by 9/24, and that's the thing off to the right. It's also attached to the email. And be prepared for a grading policy assessment. It's a quick little assessment just to make sure that you are knowledgeable and prepared to execute grade book policy. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have enjoyed the flexibility of viewing this at your own leisure. Have an awesome, awesome school year.